Hey, this is Christian Buckley with another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Michael. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chris. Hi.
It looks like you're having some beautiful weather over there. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you are, talk about that beautiful background. It's very real.
It is beautiful green screen. This beautiful background in Brandenburg. I'm from Berlin. I'm Microsoft MVP for at least 21 years right now. So it's a long story, starting with front page, then SharePoint, now Office 365 apps and services. And the background is actually there's a picture from last weekend where we do a trip outside Berlin in the north. And it was beautiful weather. But now, we're looking into the autumn.
I didn't realize that you started your MVP career on front page.
Yeah. On front
wow.
page.
So you were that must have. I think was front page ever like looked on without disdain from the the developer community? I mean,
was a time. That was a time where we were a glutton to punishment, so we really liked the pain. No, it was for me. It was where I started to do some HTML web pages on the internet in the late 1990s, and then they came with this editor, and I actually worked with front page as it doesn't belong to Microsoft because Microsoft bought it from a company called Vermeer Technologies Industries. And and I found it very easy to create web pages with that one. And then Microsoft take it over, and I started to answer questions in the Usenet use groups on front page. And then somebody from Microsoft was aware of that and sent me an email and said, hey, you are so active in the use groups on front page. We have a program called Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals. Would you join this program? And this nice little lady was Evelyn Roof, the former German MVP lead. And then I said, yeah, why not? And it's interesting. And so it started to be an MVP, and then it goes on and on and on and on and on. And,
so I was a user of front page. So also prior to the acquisition, it's when I started doing very simple, came across that. I was doing just the very simple HTML prior to that, and thought this is fantastic. I don't remember like the path into the SharePoint world, like how it found its way in and eventually became SharePoint designer, essentially.
Yeah, SharePoint designer. And actually, I remember in 2004, I think it was, today we have October 11th, right? And I think about October 20 or whatever, there was the first SharePoint event here in Germany organized by Microsoft in Fürstenfeldbruck, organized from the developers from Microsoft. And I was on the stage with my Acer, what was it called? TC111. This was a tablet PC, with a tablet, we can write with a pen on it. It was just a small device. And on that was running my SharePoint and I think it was front page or SharePoint designer. I'm not very sure about it. And I demoed how to customize a SharePoint list with that one.
Wow.
This was very crazy. There's still
I remember
one photo.
You and I had that conversation where we were trying to remember when the first European SharePoint conference, there was that. So the community did a couple events prior to the official event.
Yeah, we do a lot of events, but 2004, I think it was the first one that Microsoft developer evangelist here in Germany started to do that. And it's funny to see. I still have 2 or 3 photos of them, and it's very interesting to see how everything runs on these small devices with pen and stuff. So many technologies were already invented but never really used.
Yeah, well, it's you look at that. A lot of the the pen-based devices that came out in the 90s as well. Yeah. I mean, Microsoft was actually pretty advanced with mobile devices and other things that just they didn't get it right. and from a marketing standpoint, certainly, and then let others kind of catch up and pass them. But
do you remember the Sharp Saurus? It was a very small device with this unique operating system, but it has also a pen where you can paint on the screen there. It was a very small device. Crude stuff.
Wow. No, I don't have that in my collection. I think I have right here. Besides, I have my multiple Zunes. I have my multiple Kin devices as well.
Yeah.
So
I still have one Pocket PC. When I start this Pocket PC, once a year, I opened it, plug it into, started it, and see how it's still living. And yeah, it's still living. And it always starts with the blank operating system. Yep. And it starts with September 3rd, 2001.
Wow.
This is the day.
Well, so I still have, I have an old, I don't even remember what year it was, the old Palm Pilot. I just found a docking station for it last night, was going through a box in my closet looking for cables and came like, whoa, hey, where is this thing? I know I still have the Palm Pilot. I've seen it elsewhere, but now that I found the docking station, I might need to go and just have it on, sitting on the desk in a video or something.
Yeah, it's
interesting. Well, we're talking here before we started recording about, obviously we have with Ignite coming up, and it's always, you always have to be careful in these kind of recordings. There's a lot of announcements that are coming out, certain things that we can as MVPs talk about and not talk about. But one thing that I thought would be a great discussion point was the convergence of the various technologies. So of SharePoint with Teams, with Stream on the video side, with Yammer and other capabilities is becoming more and more the story. And one thing that I will say, Dan Holm has, with Microsoft, has talked about this a couple times now, about wanting to move away from that, the question that's been out there for years of which tool when, and Microsoft has been saying, look, it's not that's more of a head to head. It's not this competitive look at it. It's more of what do you need? What's the right solution for your customers, for your internal team? And in all likelihood, it's a combination. It's working across those tools and understanding how they work together, I think, is going to be key. We're gonna hear a lot of announcements, I think, that have to do with more of this integrated view of the suite, and it's not just Office 365. There's also a discussion of how we're seeing the branding of Office 365 kind of fade away, and Microsoft 365 being more the focus, which makes sense because if you're talking about an integrated solution, it also includes Windows and your mobile and the security and compliance across all these various devices and platforms. So I don't know your thoughts on.
When you look back at how it was in maybe 10 years ago, how complicated it was to implement some kind of right management or whatever, to host the service for rights management. And today, if you're on Office 365, you just switch the switch on, and now you have completely right protections on your documents, and you can really go. You can share the documents and still have control over how people can use documents. And so it's very, it's absolutely cool to see how the cloud has make all these technologies available just one mouse click away. So it's really cool to see that. As you talked about Microsoft 365. On the other hand, of course, it's always overwhelming how many tools we have and how many tools you can use to solve one task. And the question is, what's the best task for it? And you already mentioned Teams and Yammer. So this is a discussion we are, I think, with customers and whatever, talking about for years right now. Why have Microsoft has two different tools for this kind of social, like Teams and Yammer. There was Yammer, and Yammer was bought just in the moment when we started to have social stuff in SharePoint, and then we have to kill the SharePoint stuff there, and then we have Yammer. And when people just get a little bit familiar with Yammer, then suddenly there was Teams, and it was playing in the same field. But now, and for me, when I first saw Yammer, I was really impressed how about the platform for itself. And when Microsoft bought it, I said, well, that's a good idea to buy this, because at the same time we were looking at the IBM stuff on Connections, which has a really cool platform for social. And I think, well, Microsoft, when they bought Yammer, it was a great acquisition, but it was not really integrated. And this took some time to integrate it. But now within the last maybe 1.5 years, when Microsoft started to make Yammer better, to integrate it with better web parts, and had this story about this leadership engagement, what I really find very, very appealing, where you have CEOs communicating with your company. They're setting up a Microsoft Stream for making me and ask me anything, or a town hall meeting. And you have the SharePoint side where you can put the player in, and underneath you can start your Yammer channel where you get all these interactive questions and can collect the question before the town hall meeting is there, and then answer it meanwhile. And said, well, yes, this makes really sense, where Yammer comes into really good usage. And on the other hand, Teams, I think Teams is not meant or not made for large communications with large audiences. It's a place where you can do all your teamwork in projects, in smaller groups, where lately I read something that says Teams is where you know all the people you're communicating, and the size should be as large you can serve them 2 pizzas, and when everything gets fine, then it's a good group for a Teams group. And Yammer is more to talk to people you not know, but you know they are in the company, and you share your knowledge with them and communicate through all the company.
Well, I think that there's a couple things. I think there's not to overly simplify, but you have kind of 3 levels of productivity and collaboration. I mean, there's productivity and at the individual level, like you need to be productive. You need to be able to organize yourself. You need to know how you're using your time. Microsoft is doing a lot around the My Analytics and to help you to be more insightful at the way that you're working, how you're spending your time, how you can be more efficient. Mm-hmm. A lot of the automation at that individual level. The next is at that team level. So it's just as you described, it's like we're trying to solve this project. It's not going to be 100 people out there in this broader community. It's the project team. It's the 5 of us that are working to solve this over the next 10 days. That is more of that team scope. And so looking at go from individual to that team level. And then beyond that is, okay, our team, our manager, we share the same manager, we're working on these projects, to that organizational collaboration where we need to be working with every other project team across our 100,000 person, our 5,000 person organization. It's going to be broader, it's going to be different. And so Microsoft is starting to look at that, it seems to me, that individual personal view of the world, that team-based view of the world, and then differentiating from that is that company-wide, that global view. And so looking at those things, can you use Teams in both the team-based and global? Yes, but it's the better fit here. Yeah. Yammer, can it be used at this level? Yes, but it's the better fit here at the global level. And then, of course, SharePoint, while it's a backbone across all of those things and has those experiences, the intranet portion here, the team site portion, which is more here, and then your My Recent Files, your all the things that you're doing that are the OneDrive and SharePoint list library level here.
And I think Yammer, what I really, my experience from learnings here in Berlin, we have a big conference here which takes place every year. It's called the Internet Reloaded. And it's the attendees normally come from companies with 10,000, 20,000 employees plus. And what I've learned there is that a lot of companies are using Yammer, even if they don't use SharePoint or whatever. But Yammer is a really largely and widely used tool to connecting the blue-collar workers or to set up kind of mobile and very agile social connection network. So this is very interesting to see. And today, when everything's integrated in Microsoft 365, well, the companies come more and more to use other stuff from there. But Yammer has its own life, its own ecosystem, maybe because it's this ecosystem existed before Microsoft bought them. They had already a lot of users, but it has a it's really interesting. So for me, as you already mentioned, Microsoft Ignite is just, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ahead. And I recently saw this blog post on the Yammer post from Microsoft, and they published it under the hashtag Year of Yammer. And they announced several interesting sessions on the Ignite where they want to show what they have done with Yammer and how they build new features and more stuff. And so I'm really looking forward to see what they are doing with them.
Yeah, I think you're going to hear a lot from, so Michael Holste is the product marketing manager that owns Yammer. And so, he's got a couple sessions. So we were just talking about too, that we just had this, and people probably saw it on social. We had Teams airlifts. So an airlift is kind of it's a multi-day on-site. So there were 2 events. I went to the one in Bellevue. So it's the city right next to Redmond, Microsoft's headquarters. And then we just had one this week in Amsterdam. I didn't attend that, but Microsoft, Caruana, Lori Pottmeyer and others, came over for that event. And it's in depth on what's coming out for Microsoft to get feedback back from MVPs and partners. And so it's a great opportunity. So we got kind of a preview of some of the announcements, and I know that there were other MVP calls, and so you and I are aware of some of the announcements that will be made. And I'll just say that for those that are watching this prior to Ignite, it's worth paying attention to. There's a lot of really big announcements. The Year of Yammer hashtag, I think, is earned. It's deserved.
Yeah, for me, I think it's really relevant that Microsoft has a good story how to use Yammer and to make it more public and integrate. And for me, it's Yammer. It's Yammer itself, but on the other hand, for me, it's a part to get more connected with everything that I've done with streams. Because Stream is so my favorite playground, because I'm doing video and audio for years. I'm doing a podcast. And this podcast is running for over 14 years right now, so it's really much practice about that one. And I'm doing video also for several years, always for more than 2 or 3 decades right now. Yeah. My first video camera, what is? Have you seen? Of course, you have seen Back to the Future Part 1.
Of course.
And Mike, and when Marty McFly goes back to 1955 and takes back this camera, this was my first video camera.
Very nice. What was it?
It was a GVC VHS-C camera, and I don't have it anymore, but it was really cool. You still have it?
No, I actually have back here. Back out of the closet that's lost in the blue mess back here. But it's funny, I came across this. I said, I need to start using this more, HD, but this is just this little, I can't even see it if I hold it right in front of me, this Canon.
Yeah.
But it's there's something to be said about having this small, simple device versus like I carry around if I'm going to be more, one location recording multiple sessions. I have my Lumix GH5, which I'm still learning how to use. Of course, I've got the Logitech cameras, but on the road, I use my iPhone, my 10, and for an alternate shot, I'm thinking, this is just so much better than carrying around that big, bulky GH5.
Could you mention?
Just trying to get field, content.
Yeah. I'm using currently. I'm using different kind of cameras because there is one camera. I have it here. This is the small one. This is the Mevo Cam.
Oh yeah, is that the newer Mevo?
No, that's the old Mevo. Actually, I was one of the first users in Europe. I really ordered it when this was a Kickstarter project, and they sent it me in August 2016. And I started to do some live recording. This is a live video cam, 4K sensor, and you connect it with your iPhone app, and then you can do all this fancy stuff. It connects through wire to wireless LAN, and so it's. In the beginning, it was a little bit creepy, but they did several firmware updates. But currently, it's really cool. Is
their marketing material say less creepy now?
Yeah, but I have, but Mevo and we have been friends. I think I have done in the last 3 years over 25 live streamings here from Berlin, from various locations, meetups, startup meetups, from the CeBIT, from company meetings. And normally we are friends, so I can really work with that. And with the front app, it's running very smoothly. I've connected this to Stream, so I really can use it as a front end for Stream. I've connected it to LinkedIn Live. It works pretty good.
I think my concern with it, maybe you can answer this, as we're talking about hardware here. The concern was that it didn't have the ability to attach an external microphone.
Oh, no problem. I have all my microphones because I have there's an additional stuff. There's the boost, and in the boost you can put the USB connector, and then it has I can completely connect it to my whole audio stuff. So it's no problem.
Okay.
And really broadcasting really good quality, so it's no problem. This is a camera really good for. It's bad in low light conditions, but for recording and for live streaming in a quite good setup like here, it's perfect. And the other one, what I'm really love today is this one here, the DJ Osmo Pocket, and this is from DJI. I created the drone. This is a drone camera with a gimbal here. And it has a little small display here where you can do all the stuff. And you see the gimbal is following maybe my face when I put face recognition here. It's a 4K camera, can record up to 60 frames per second, has what is called Zeitlupe. It's slow motion, Pano and motion lapse and whatever. And it's a really good quality to record it. And for me, I'm recording interviews with that one. And to connect it with, last but not least, with audio, I'm using this stuff right now. These are the small Rode Wireless Go. You have this is the microphone. This is the receiver. I connect it to the camera, and this is everything I need to go and do interviews with really small amount of stuff you're carrying around with you.
Yeah, that's it's been
perfect.
It's been a great lessons learned going and doing events and carrying gear. So I think 2 years ago, where we were, I was part of the first batch of the community reporters at Ignite. So they're getting ready to do this the third year. And of course, you and I are both parts of the community reporters for the European SharePoint conference happening in December. And so we'll be, I'm sure, sharing our gear through that channel as well. But really kind of laying out all my gear. I brought all this stuff to Orlando, and I had already stripped it down from my home studio setup. Yeah. And I left more than half of it in my room. I never took it out of my room. And so I've really pared it down to kind of the simplest of pieces to now where I travel. I need to look at some of those other devices, but I have, of course, my tripod with my iPhone and a battery pack and capture that with a light and a boom mic on that. Or I have when I travel, it's just with my Surface Pro and my little Logitech USB camera, and which has a microphone built in and 4K video capability as well, and do all of that. So I can have two shots of the same material, and so it's upload one file and then work between the two two things and take different cutaways and different shots. There's a lot you can do with that.
Yeah, I did some recordings on the European Collaboration Summit, or the Club Summit in May in Wiesbaden. And there I had the Switcher Studio. It's a software built for the iOS platform. So you can connect several iPhones and have on your iPad a kind of mixer studio where you can switch between all the different iPhones, and you have the different angles.
I have OBS on my Surface Pro.
Yeah, so. And Switcher Studio is one of the official endpoints or producing endpoints for Microsoft Stream. When you start a stream on Microsoft Stream, you can switch between Wirecast and whatever. And there's also Switcher Studio. And when you have the subscription to the Switcher Studio, you can click on the button, the dashboard of Switcher starts, and you can really start to stream from the Switcher Studio directly into Microsoft Stream. And that works pretty well. And you have all the edited stuff where you can lower certs, you can insert graphics, PowerPoints, videos, and everything's done from an iPad. It's a really cool platform, but this is something you really have one person dedicated to manage everything. It's right. Nothing you can do by it yourself, because it's distracting when you have an interview and you are doing everything here and yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's not good. That's not working.
Yeah.
So it's for me. It's also when I travel, I have big bag with me in earlier times with all the stuff, and say, wow, I didn't need all this stuff. And now it's really compact, and with a small bag, I have everything with me, and it's so comfortable. And now I can produce absolute perfect quality. The video quality with 4K is super. And the low light capability of the Osmo is absolutely perfect. And on the hand, with the wireless microphones, it's a perfect audio.
I was just thinking of how, so for organizations that are looking to do more in video and capture, so kind of bringing it back to what we're talking about in the collaboration platforms. Like, obviously, we all know that, video is the future. That's where we're going. It's like Gartner and a couple other organizations have said, hey, by 2021, 2022, that like more than 85% of all content within intranets will be video-based content. People prefer that. When I go and I'm looking to solve a problem, fix something, whether it's my car or a broken household item, like I go to videos and see somebody has already done a walkthrough of exactly my product of my car or whatever it is, and instructs you on how to do that. What I need is that next step, which is the hologram, where it does an overlay of looking at my car, and the AI says and highlights, boop, boop, boop. Oh, there it is. There's that part, But the for organizations that are like, well, do I have to go and put together a whole studio within my organization to be able to create these kinds of videos? Like, no, you using Teams and recording, doing these kind of back and forth and capturing this with the auto transcription and translation capabilities that are out of the box, like right there. And now we have the as well as the transcription, but we actually have the
face recognition.
Well, there's that as well. So, but you have all that capability. But then to go and extend your studio capabilities by buying a small camera device like that, so that you can go and interview people that they don't have to be on Teams for this video. You could go out into the field and capture conversations, and it's not expensive. I'd say any organization that doesn't have every organization that's looking to build more of this kind of digital content, which is a core aspect of knowledge management, capture these practices, these processes, these insights from their team, this contextual data information that's otherwise lost because it's conversation based. Is to go buy some of these cameras.
Yeah, and for me, when I'm doing sessions or lectures or world cafes on conferences on this topic, and I open my bag and say, here, look at that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options, and people are always very overwhelmed about what's possible and how easy it is, and it's not expensive. Even if I take here, I have 2 of this wireless set, this camera, and maybe and this together are about 800 euros.
Yeah.
So this is
No,
definitely,
it's not that expensive.
and you got really good quality and can produce it. And when you edit, it's great. And you already mentioned it, when you upload this stuff on Stream, you have this platform for the internal company. It's like YouTube. You have your channels, you have your group there, you have your recorded meetings from Teams if you use it, and you have all these nice AI functions like the automatic transcription. And unfortunately, it currently only works with English and Spanish, but I hope they will announce Ignite that I now really want to start with other languages. You have the face recognition, and this is such a cool feature. When I demonstrated and said, okay, from the last Ignite, I uploaded 20 of the sessions in English on my stream and waited 2 hours that everything is transcribed, and then I can go there. What did they say about Stream? And they show me all the videos with all the minutes, seconds where I can click and do all the research. And this is, wow, this is really great. And it discovers all the content. For me as a podcaster, it's one of the major drawbacks where we have always a podcast, that all your content in podcast is not searchable until you have this transcription.
Stuff. Right. And for years, it was you're sitting there and doing transcription of a video or audio. It's difficult. And that's why you have, back when I started working when I was 19 for a law firm, and they had a small team of 3 or 4 people that sit there all day listening to just tapes and sit there, and they have a little pedal control to pause as they type, and they're just sitting there doing the transcription. Those transcription services, can be fairly costly. Now for AI to do that automatically, again, it goes back to the point where, like, why am I creating all of this documentation, these PowerPoint decks, where we can sit and have a conversation where I can have fewer slides, just the visuals that are necessary, but I describe it, talk through, answer questions right there in real time, and immediately have this transcription, have this record that's searchable. So video as a knowledge asset comes to the forefront of knowledge management.
Yeah, and here's an exclusive productivity hack for Stream. Currently, when you upload a video in English and Spanish, it's automatically transcribed. So you got the transcription. But when you upload a video in German, it's not transcribed. But what you can do is you can upload your video on YouTube, maybe set it on private, then wait a little bit. YouTube is doing automatically transcription. And then you look in the settings and you will see, oh, we have subtitles in German. And then there's a little button that says download. And you can download the whole transcription. Then you have to convert it to the VTT format. There's an online converter. Uploaded it to your stream, to the video. There's in the setting, there is a point where you can say upload the caption file. And then you have German transcription there, and you can search it in German or in any other language. This is it's a little bit
bit of a hassle.
But it's really working. So if you have some kind of necessary, there are other services, but this is the easiest way because even Azure is providing this kind of service, AWS. But you need a front end to do that. And you can do it always through the API or to program it. That's not a problem. But for an end user like me who has no idea how to program it, you need a front end to just upload the audio file and get back the transcription. And this is what you can do with Google.
With all this stuff, I think it's always the question I have, and it's true about the gear and just capturing video as well, is I'm always thinking about, okay, what is the post-production of this? Yes, I can go and capture 3 different cameras with different microphones and get all this high quality and have my lighting set up. But at some point, you've got to then bring all those files in together, align the audio and video, and do all the editing and the work around there. My preference when I do these interviews, for example, like I'll go on the road or I'll go to events. They say, and I'll hear from other MVPs like, "Hey, I'd love to do an MVP Buzz Chat interview. Can we do it when I see you in Orlando?" And like, I don't really record them out in the field because then you have to worry about audio quality and at a conference where there's so much background noise and movement away from that. and then to clean all that up and have to process the audio, or if the lighting is not great. I mean, kind of all of those factors that make it more difficult, where I prefer this because my post-production is almost instant. You know, I process the video and add the lower third, add, you know, different various text and graphics, and then upload.
For me, I have set up a workflow to do these on location, these interviews. So recording is maybe with an iPhone, and the external microphones have these hand microphones from Sennheiser. These are professional reporter quality, and even in noisy environments, you can do a good production. And then that's why I switched to the Mac, because I'm editing everything in Final Cut Pro, and this is such a great production environment. And you put in all the video stuff you have, all your audio stuff, said make it synchronize, and then you get everything synchronized and have all the stuff underneath, and then you can start editing it, do all this tweaking with colors and whatever. It takes some time, but when you have a good workflow, it's something you really can do very easily. And so I'm really like to do it on location, because it's easy stuff. But on the other hand, I'm really looking forward, because normally you're in the US, I'm here in Germany, so it's hard to do some kind of that one. And I think Zoom is working pretty well.
Zoom is good. Teams is good. We've gotten multiple methods of capturing this now, but I think those are, it seems like that's predominantly within the Microsoft ecosystem. Like I'm recording on both Teams and Zoom. Zoom, probably the Stream folks are well aware that Zoom, I would say, is probably their #1 competition in the video space right now.
But, and you know, the thing you have really looked to is to have good audio quality. This is the #1 priority. Have good audio, and then even
#2, lighting.
Yeah, but even if the lighting is super cool, but your audio is bad, then nobody wants to watch the video.
Correct.
But if your audio is perfect and the lighting is not that perfect, but you have great content, the people will stay with that one. And so this is something you really have to care about, audio. And for me, it's really, when I saw these Teams meetings that are recorded as webinars or whatever, and you know, there are so many guides outside there, how to set up your workplace to do a recording for a webinar, or for a screen cam recording in Camtasia or whatever. Why are people doing that? You know, they're sitting here. Let me see. The things up. Or they have bad lighting and whatever. You see that. Hey, how there are guidelines outside there how to do that, and please do it.
I'm just gonna do the rest of the webinar like this, you know, just for you, Michael. So
that's scary. That's really scary.
You can't. I'll hide. This is actually looks like a blue screen here. It's my microphone hiding behind here, but
okay, bye.
Anyway, things not to do.
That is really cool, and I'm looking forward. And I really have. We're talking about the AI functions, so this is something that's really enhanced the value of video in the company. Not only that the videos are there, but you can really search the content and find it. And I hope they will integrate some more stuff, like maybe automatic translation of the videos, that you can upload it in English, but you got a German translation that might be quite good or whatever. That would be great. And on that topic, have you ever seen these deep fakes that are running around?
So this is actually, you're in one right now. It's not me. So
this is something, when you look at audio and video as a tool to communicate with others and see what's today, it's possible how to manipulate audio and video. And this is so scary. There is a YouTube channel. It's called Control Shift Phase. So CTRL Shift Phase. And they are doing deep fakes for, I think, 8 months ago. They started with the Terminator and switched Arnold Schwarzenegger with Sylvester Stallone. And when you look at it and you see, this was very impressive how it looks. And lately they published session from Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. You know, you're looking at me. "Are you looking at me?"
Yep.
And switch his face with Al Pacino. And when you put it side by side, this one, it's you can't compare. You can see what is the real one. And so it's
there's a number of videos that are out there. There's like from the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and there's, I think it's Bill Hader, who's on SNL, and where he's doing impressions. And this
was the first video from Control Shift Face, and I was, this was the first time I saw a deepfake video, and I saw, Bill Hader, and I said, wow, he's a good comedian. He really can change his face. It's so great. And then I look at, it's a deepfake.
It reminds me of that whole topic, and I know it's not exactly the same thing, but if you remember back in the mid 2000s when Microsoft bought that company that had the technology to do like an integrated. It was integrated marketing into video games and video. And the way that they promoted this, if you remember this promotion, they actually did, it was for, what's the show that's based in Florida about the serial murderer who works for the police? What's that show? It's off the air now, but it was a series very successful. Chuck.
Okay. I don't know.
And so they did, I believe it was an ad for that where they did this whole video where it was like a news footage. And so the whole setup was that what you could do is you could provide your friend's picture and their name and a bunch of text. And what it would do, or maybe it just did the text initially, but you would do this and they would send you an original link and then you'd send it to your friend and it looked like it's coming from like the news affiliate there in a local channel in Florida. Yeah. And it would have like your friend's name and phone number scrawled in blood on the wall. Like, who is this person? Michael Greth, and what does he have to do with this grisly murder? And it was this whole thing where it freaked a bunch of people out who thought, it was like, thought it was real. It looked real. And it was this way that you could go in there and you could add your face on a character in a video game, or have, as you're doing a racing game, as you're driving by in this virtual world, a billboard on your, Xbox, it's your company's advertisement as you go by. Fascinating technology. And it's kind of like, this is the next phase really, of that.
It's really scary if you see. And when you look at these videos, these deepfake videos, it's if you not really know what the original video is, you really take it for real.
Well, I think it's just it's time that we all get fitted for our Tron-like glowing outfits and start in the future. We know we're all going to be wearing matching jumpsuits anyway, so we might as well just get over with it. Just do it. Just let's move to jumpsuits. Have the glowing aspects to it. The Tron-like future.
And the story is getting a little bit more weird right now. Have you ever heard about the Voco project from Adobe? It was a thing, I think they published it 2 years ago on an Adobe conference where you have a text editor and I get a sample of your voice for 30 seconds, put it in the Voco stuff, Ryan, and then I can type my text in an editor and the text will be spoken in your language. And it's very hard to find out if it's really you talking or it's a machine talking. And then they just recently published an article on a science site from I don't know, what was it, Stanford University, and they combined this audio and this video stuff. So you got a talking head talking with a language, different language, and they can completely adjust all the mouse movement and the face movement. And when you see it, people are talking completely in a different voice, and they take maybe Obama or whatever, and he's talking stuff he never talked about, it was in different voices. And if somebody sent you a video like that and you don't know the person and you don't know his speech, it's absolutely scary what's happening. And
two things though. I'd say that one, it would be very useful though if we're talking about localization of video content, not just having the transcription, the translation of the transcription, but if you could actually go in and based on my voice, but a different language, and have it so that so you've got my video, my training material in 20 different languages. And it looks like I'm speaking, that language. And if you can get that so smart to where it's almost real time, and as you're broadcasting from a conference, it looks like you're on stage speaking Japanese.
Yeah, and I think we need some kind of watermarkings that you can prove that this is real spoken by you in content. And I'm just reading the book from Tools and Weapons from Brad Smith, where he talks about the challenges of AI. It's very interesting to see that even there are people from Microsoft who are thinking about, a cool technology, but I think we have to do some kind of regulations that we are not going the bad way. So
that's why we've done it. We did a tweet jam in the past. We probably need to do it again, but talking about ethics and AI, and it's a big topic that needed to be explored. One last thing before we go, though. I was very excited by the news. We talk about the changing of the voice is changing Siri's voice to Samuel L. Jackson. So that is coming out before the end of the year. You have to pay for it. But I tell you, I think that initially it's like 99 cents per month for that service. Well worth it for me to have. And it's not just that, it's the traditional Siri voice sounding like him. Apparently it's going to have a bunch of his kind of mannerisms and other things in there. You ask a dumb question, and he'll mock you or something. I don't know, but
we have to look if some German actor or common voice here in German will do this the same stuff.
Great.
Interesting times.
It's a lot going on. So Michael, people want to get in touch with you, follow you. What are the best ways they can find out more about you or get in touch with you?
Go to the SharePointPodcast.de, is my podcast site, and they find my contact infos. And over the years, I'm still very well connected. I'm on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Twitter, my SharePoint. This is my Twitter handle. You can find me there, and on LinkedIn. So on all this stuff.
Well, I have to tell you that, so I was talking with Fitz. So Mike Fitzmaurice, who's with WebCon now, he was with Nintex. A lot of people know him. It's, Mr. Workflow. And we were having a conversation. He said, well, Christian, I was always, thought of you as kind of the Michael Greth of the US. And he's like, I hope that's okay. I'm like, that's a great title. I that's fine.
That's very nice from him. Yeah. Just 1 second. I still have a gadget what I'm really caring about from Mike Fitzmaurice. This is this wonderful towel here, the T-shirt, and it says, SharePoint Server 2003. It was a promotional stuff from SharePoint Server 2003. And nice. I got it when I was on the MVP Summit in 2004, whatever, and Mike Fitz gave it to me. It's
Still there, still packaged, still unopened. That's right.
No, not opened.
If you ever opened it, it'd probably just disintegrate out there. It's not.
That can.
Well, Michael, hey, thanks a lot for your time, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes, of course. Thank you, and have a good weekend.